Have you ever just picked up something and thought, I wonder if I can make a fishing lure out of this? Because I know I have. And today, that's what I'm going to try to do, is make a fishing lure out of something that you probably all have used since you were like a toddler. So, colored pencils. I've seen some people do some real cool stuff. Facebook is spitting things left and right at me, these ads. That dang social dilemma special got everybody tweaked out. But I have seen some cool stuff with colored pencils and resin. And so we're gonna make a resin colored pencil lure today, right now. So first things first, unbox these colored pencils. I'm gonna use an old container of a crankbait. And this is what I'm going to basically 2-part epoxy or resin them in and solidify that whole thing and let it sit for 24, 48 hours, harden up completely, and then we're going to carve away. So first things first, I'm just gonna go through, resin this up, show you the process of that, how it works, why it works, and then see if it works. All right, so as we work with this, the one concern that you always got to think about is volume. These particular resin, anything you work with resin or 2-part epoxy, you're going to use them. I think most of them are 1-to-1 ratio. If they aren't, correct me if I'm wrong. But this stuff is going to be a 1-to-1 ratio, and they give you a good little handy dandy measuring cup. Most of the time you can go by weight, but I'm just going to use these milliliters. But the most important thing is you're going to be pouring it into an empty space, but that empty space will also be filled with these colored pencils. So I won't need, I think if I measured this one earlier, it was about 140 milliliters to fill this entire thing with water. I won't need 140 milliliters of both of these together, just because, again, we're going to disrupt the volume of the container by inserting these colored pencils in there first. So what I'm going to do is mix up the resin. It's going to take a couple of minutes. It says 1-to-1 ratio with about 2 to 3 minutes of stirring. Pour probably 40% into this container. Shove some of those pencils down into the top all the way through, and then I'll pour the rest over the top. So that's what we'll work with now. All right, 3 minutes are cached. We are going to start by, I've already got the pencils in there like I want them. Going to remove them for the time being as I pour the bottom half, bottom 40% or so. Let this fill up. About right there to start. All right, they are officially bathing in the 2-part epoxy resin bath. It'll take 24 to probably 48 hours for that to solidify. It's leaking a little bit from the bottom, which I'm not too thrilled about, but that's okay. This stuff moves pretty quick and sets pretty fast. So we will be back once it's completely hardened. All right, it is now complete and completely solid. So this is going to be a quick 2-step process on the next portion. We're going to saw off the edge that we're not going to need. These colored pencils now are completely encased from here to here, so it's about 4 inches or so. And then we're going to grind it down to a shape like that. So I'll glue that there, take the belt sander, and start chipping away at our colored pencil resin crankbait. So saw it down, sand it up. Alright, preliminary sanding is done. That looks pretty cool. That looks pretty cool. So I'm going to take 120 grit, 220 grit, go down and hand sand the curves just to give it a cleaner look. This thing is pretty solid, pretty heavy, so it's gonna fly pretty far and it's gonna sink pretty fast. But if we can get a good lip on there, it's gonna have some really nice action. So that's the next step. Let me get to hand sanding. Got it all sanded down. There's not a whole lot left to do. The best part about this bait being pretty heavy, I'll have to weigh it exactly, but it's probably well over an ounce, is that you won't have to add any lead or drill many holes. So I really will just need to drill a hook hanger there, hook hanger there and there. I'm gonna drill in a line tie hole right here, and then cut out a slot for the lip, and that will be for the most part it. But I will add a couple of 10mm eyes that I made that are just going to be probably shiny pearlescent silver. I think that'll look kind of cool. I'll add those on the sides, but we are darn near done with this. And then clear coating is going to be a breeze because it's going to look nice and shiny once you get that all cleaned up. You probably noticed as I was sanding it by hand, the colors were mixing. That kind of happens when you have obviously colored pencils and graphite. So went one more trip with the belt sander, and as you can kind of see, everything's nice and sharp and it looks pretty crisp with the colors. Look pretty cool. So zoom in one more time so you can try to see it as clear as possible. There we go. So there you go. I went ahead and put in the hardware, rear hook hanger, middle hook hanger, line tie, and then I added a Resin lip. The big thing is, yes, there is resin on this outside coating here, but any wood that is exposed is still wood, so I'm going to need to seal it. I can use either the super glue here, or I might just start with a quick easy coat of this Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. This is an easy spray on. It's not excellent, but it does do a good enough job. So I'm probably going to layer a few coats of that on there, and then I will drill out the sockets for the eyes, and then we're going to KBS drip dry clear coat this. So that's what we'll do next, and then I will almost be ready to fish with this. Before we spray it, I will drill in a couple eye sockets, just not very deep, but generally where I will place these. I thought after getting through that portion, getting the wood completely sealed, it'd be fun to just go with some basically white iridium eyes that I made. I'll link above the video on how to make your own eyes. It's super basic with epoxy. Yeah, I think this isn't a very natural looking bait anyways, so why go with anything natural in terms of eyes? So I will hit it with a dab of Gorilla Super Glue and glue these in. There it is. Now the simple part, the waiting. I'm gonna KBS drip this, drip it in KBS clear coat, give it a nice strong coat to protect it, and then yeah, we'll see if we can catch anything on it. But I told my pops about this when I was making it, and he goes, "This is the epitome of a true rainbow trout." So obviously doesn't look like a rainbow trout, but sure does have the rainbow effect. So drip clear coat, and we'll go take it fishing. So we made it to the lake. It is a cool like 60 degrees today, actually probably closer to 55 after a couple inches of snow. So it's gonna be kind of interesting. I'm sure the bite's kind of completely whacked out and turned off, but there's the finalized lure. It's pretty cool looking. I mean, that's pretty sweet. I've tested it already a couple times. It has a little wobble to it, pretty strong kick. I'm trying to get some underwater footage. We'll see if that works. But we're basically just gonna cast it around at this local lake that I live nearby, and if anything hits, it's full of bass and pike, but I'm sure everything's turned off, but we're gonna give it a shot. And if nothing hits on this, I might switch over to a small twister tail to see if we can just get something. Otherwise, I have a 6.5-inch rainbow trout glide bait that I painted. So we'll throw that on and kind of go with the chest cam from here on out. So we'll see if we can get anything. So it is absolutely gorgeous out. About an hour to fish, or just a little under, but this is the final product. We'll use the lighting there. That is pretty sweet. Completely made of just resin and colored pencils. Probably should take a thumbnail picture in case of. You can switch it to see from the top here. It's got some pretty solid action. Typical square bill kick. So let's let it rip. well, it worked out pretty well. Didn't get into any fish, but that's the final product again. Got it completely sealed and everything, so KBS clear coat allowed it to be very resistant. I mean, I think the buoyancy still of the colored pencil, the wood of the colored pencils kept it on the top of the water. You could play it like a jerk bait. I tried to slow it down a ton, just given its water's dropped probably 20 degrees in the last month, and so things are kind of going crazy in terms of the bite. Typical fall bite hasn't been on much fire recently around here, but yeah, but that's it. That's the final product. Thanks for checking in and keeping along. Got some cool ideas coming up, so we'll see you in the next video.